Hey guys, Sneaky Snake here, brothers in arms, World of Warships, and in today's video, we're going to take a look at a great game that I had in the Phoenix, the Tier 4 American Light Cruiser. I'm playing by myself on the EU server, and it's some standard battle here on the map, Solomon Islands. So, the Phoenix here in World of Warships is, again, the Tier 4 American Light Cruiser, and not only am I grinding down the American battleships on my EU account, but also I decided that I wanted the Des Moines, so the American cruisers I am grinding as well, and I'm currently at the Omaha, and much like the American battleships, as I get to each ship here, starting at Tier 4 with the American cruisers, I will put up some gameplay for you. Now, this is the only game that I played in the Phoenix because I had that special paint that you see and some XP flags, and I was able to get the 10,300 total XP that I needed to be able to unlock the Omaha. So this is obviously going to be a really good game. And the Phoenix is very similar to the Omaha, not just in looks, but also in play style. It doesn't have as many guns as the Omaha, but basically you have guns to the front, to the rear, to starboard, and to port. And it's in keeping with the Tier 2 and the Tier 3 American cruisers, where you have guns all around, and basically you could drive in a circle and just shoot all your guns in due course. But this ship is actually very, very quick. You can pop over 34 knots with the Sierra Mike flag going and running in a straight line. So it fits the very definition of the light scout cruiser, and you have some pretty good firepower to boot. You do have a total of 9 152 millimeter guns, and the shell arcs are pretty nice for the ship, and you also have a range of 15.3 kilometers. So for a Tier 4 cruiser, this is actually very potent firepower. Now, as you saw in my captain skills at the very beginning, I do have a 14-point captain on this guy, so I also have IFHE, and IFHE is incredibly valuable on these lower tier cruisers because having 32 millimeters worth of pen basically makes it impossible to not pen what you're shooting at. 32 millimeters of pen, especially at equal tier battleships, they don't have near 32 millimeters of armor in most of the extremities and the bow and the stern, so you're going to see a lot of full penetration shots here in this replay. Now, I decided to come close to the island to get my hydroacoustic going, and that walkie-talkie comes around the corner and eats 5 shells for 3,200 points of damage. The high explosive shot on the ship is incredibly potent, and hopefully I'll be able to secure the first blood here with the next salvo. Unfortunately, I am a little short, but the Phoenix does have a pretty respectable rate of fire at about 7 seconds base reload. And the next salvo that goes in, I managed to take care of that Tier 3 Japanese destroyer, and I do indeed pick up the first blood of the game. So anyway, yeah, this is a really good cruiser. It has a good enough rate of fire where you can put out some pretty good DPM on enemy ships, but obviously if you have IFHE, you can really start to get some high levels of damage on all of the battleships in your matchmaking spread, both Tier 3, 4, and 5, and also the carriers as well. You can Citadel the carriers at Tier 4 with your high explosive shells, so it turns this HE very, very deadly, and you're going to see here as I get some shots on the South Carolina and the Wyoming, most of the shells that hit are going to be full pens, which deal 726 damage a pop, so it's great. Now you can see here I'm kind of trolling at about half speed right now, just kind of making sure that I can get as many guns to fire on the enemy ship that I can. If you do have a full broadside, you can shoot 6 guns out of 9 at a time, or I'm sorry, 6 out of 10 at a time, which is still pretty good. Obviously, not being able to shoot all 10 is a little unfortunate, but you can also see the good shell arcs right there too. I'm actually not able to shoot over the island when he's about 12 kilometers away from me, but now there we go, and you can see certainly not as floaty as the 203 millimeter guns that you find on the heavy cruisers later on in the line, so it's still very good firepower. The AA kind of stinks. The concealment is a little bit on the bad side, but then again, there's not many cruisers at the low tiers that have insanely good stealth, so it's not really that big of a deal. And kind of playing it a little bit like American heavy cruisers and a little bit like Japanese heavy cruisers is the way to go. There are times and occasions where it's great to sit behind island cover and shoot over, because they're certainly not railguns by any regard. But then again, there's times where open water gunboating is fine because your maneuverability is excellent and you have that very high-end speed. Also, this is one of the few American cruisers in the game that you do have the ability to launch torpedoes. Now, they don't have much range and they don't do much alpha strike, but being able to use them in close quarters combat is certainly a benefit, and it's not a con by any stretch of the imagination. And you're actually going to see me use them here against this Karlsruhe, who is coming around the corner. He's at 3.7 kilometers, so I decide to drop them right around the headland, and if he does decide to poke around, he will eat those torpedoes. So while they're going at him, I'm going to get some armor-piercing shot loaded. At these ranges, it's very important in your low-tier cruisers to shoot AP on broadside cruisers regardless of the range, and you're going to see right here 2 citadels, 3 pens, 8,000 damage before the torpedoes go home, and I secure my second frag of the game. Again, do not be afraid to shoot AP at those broadside cruisers, especially the light cruisers, which make up the majority of them at these lower tiers. When you are within 10 kilometers, you will be able to get a lot of citadels, and if nothing else, really good penetration damage. And even with IFHE, it's important to begin to learn to use the armor-piercing shot at the low tiers, because obviously as you advance up the tech tree and you get to ships like the Pensacola on up for the heavy cruisers, they have insanely good AP that has the better penetration angles, and it makes it very easy to get large amounts of damage and citadels with those. So it's important to learn that skill now. And the Phoenix at ranges of under 10 kilometers, shooting at stuff like Furotakas and Emeralds and Karlsruhes, you can really start to poke away at their HP. So, like I mentioned earlier, I'm just sitting behind this island cover right here. I do get briefly detected, but that's okay. And I'm just letting this Wyoming get farmed right now with my guns. And like I said, most of the shells that hit are penetrating, and you have a okay fire chance with the Phoenix as well, so you can get a lot of damage going in a very quick amount of time. Now, looking at the score, it's 532 to 237, so we are firmly in control. The enemy team has already lost 5 ships, including all of their destroyers, while we've only lost 1 battleship. So this game is pretty much over at this point, and now it's just a case of how much damage am I going to be able to get and how many kills that I'm going to be able to secure. So with the Wyoming and the South Carolina being the only ships down here, basically, once these guys are dead, we can make a beeline straight for their base and maybe go carrier hunting, which does happen quite a bit here at the low tiers. But now I decided that it is the time to start making my way towards the enemy base. So I'm going to get into the open water deal here. And again, the great maneuverability, the great speed allows you to be able to open water gunboat not too terribly bad. And we're going to focus down this Wyoming here as he is turning away, and so is the South Carolina. So any second now I'm actually going to turn in and start engaging that dude. The Wyoming continues to burn. He's on 1,400 hit points. My next salvo goes in, and I put him down to 200 HP. And then the Gangut manages to get the kill secure on that battleship. So now with the South Carolina being the only ship left, I'm going to move in and continue to spam this dude. Now, of course, one thing that I have forgotten to mention, the Phoenix and the Omaha After, they literally have no armor, which, while that's not strictly true, it certainly feels like it. This thing is basically a floating citadel, so it's very easy to get dev strikes on these things. So you always need to be maneuvering around, and if you guys have watched my basic cruiser tactics video, which I put up earlier this year, I think, I'll link that in the description below, where I'm playing in the Murmansk. It's very important to also learn how to micromaneuver and just kind of move around, playing with the rudder very slightly, playing with your speed slightly as well, just to try to throw off the aim of the ships that are shooting at you. Just doing subtle movements can have a huge impact on your ability to dodge the shells that are coming in at you. Unfortunately, being bow on does not protect you whatsoever from incoming fire, and I'm actually very lucky that that South Carolina did not citadel or do a lot more damage to me when I was sitting bow on, but that's okay. We should be able to get this kill secure, and on 36 HP, he burns out, and I pick up my 3rd frag of the game, and I'm up to 76,000 points of damage, which, if the game ended right now, would be a very good result. But now we're going to showcase the great top-line speed of the Phoenix as I make my move to the east to try and get towards the enemy base. You can see that the Langley is spotted in G10, and that enemy Hosho is probably lurking around somewhere in the bottom right quadrant of the map. So we're going to go over there to try to see what we can do. So, yeah, just to recap, again, good firepower, terrible armor, but that's okay because you have good speed, good maneuverability, so you can speed tank a little bit in this ship, and the gunpowder is pretty top-notch for this tier, and basically this is a good ship to learn how to cruiser, basically speaking. So It's very, very good in that role. And if you're able to get out on the flank and get some good side shots against the enemy team, you're going to be able to put together some pretty good results like the one that you're seeing right now. So, yeah, unfortunately, there's going to be a little bit of downtime right here, so I'm not 100% sure what to talk about, but yeah. I mean, I could talk about the carrier. No, I'm not going to go there. I've somehow mentioned it in some way, shape, or form by like my last 5 videos, so spare me, but yeah. Anyway, so there we go. The carriers are spotted, so we're just going to keep on moving over there. The Iziaslav and the Kaiser are making a pretty aggressive play for those battleships. That's the one thing about the lower tiers that still gets me to play it every now and then. The combat is very frantic, and it's very close, ranged and whatnot, and you know, when you play a lot of high tiers and there's so much long-range combat, it is nice every now and then to have games like this where, you know, things are going frantically and whatnot. And it's also easy to have a good result because, of course, you know, being really good at the game, coming back down to the low tiers and playing against people that don't necessarily know what they're doing. You know, it's kind of like playing on easy mode, but that's okay because everybody's got to learn. Everybody's got to start out at the low tiers, just like myself, just like Phun, just like all you guys out there, so that's okay. But now, getting back to the gameplay, instead of shooting at the battleships, I decided to get a few shots at the Langley first just to farm some literally guaranteed damage. Like, it's virtually impossible to not penetrate that carrier. But now I'm going to go after the Kaiser because he's only on 10,000 hit points, and he is charging down the smoke screen that my Iziaslav is sitting in. So while he is using a heal, hopefully I'll be able to help that destroyer out before maybe he gets in close and gets the kill on him. I am going to get dropped on by this carrier here, which is okay. But again, the maneuverability is really good, and you can dodge to a decent degree on carrier players that maybe don't know what they're doing in this ship just because it's so fast and all that. But the Kaiser does get burned down by the Iziaslav, who did set another fire on him as well. So I'm going to go back to farming these carriers as I'm going more or less bow on towards the other Kaiser that's over there. Again, I'm not really angling, but I'm just trying to get all of my shells onto those carriers and farm as much as I can before I absolutely need to go and shoot at that guy. The Kaiser does shoot a salvo back at me, but he does miss. Again, the top line speed can be a bit deceptive for new players, and you can also see shooting at the broadside right next to the smokestacks with the IFHE shells, and you are able to get HE citadels, which is hilarious. I crack over 103,000 points of damage as I pick up the high caliber, and I do secure the kill on the Langley. So I'm going to get some shots here at the Hosho, who ran into his buddy, because why not? And then I'm eventually going to change my focus of target over to the Kaiser. The destroyer on my team gets a torpedo hit, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The Langley decides to drop on me when he's basically 500 meters away, which is not going to do anything. So now as this Kaiser is more distracted by my friendly destroyer over there, you can see that, once again, most of the shells that hit are penetrating. And even though the Kaiser has really good armor for Tier 4, a lot of good deck armor, a lot of good bow armor, you can see that most of my shells are indeed penetrating. I've already lit a fire on him, and I'm aiming right for the bow, which is pretty much unsaturated. The DD manages to get the Hosho killed. I only need one more frag to pick up the Kraken Unleashed, so hopefully we're going to be able to get that. And you can see that he's also not paying attention to me because I do have priority target on, so if he were to point his guns at me, I would absolutely know about it. Continuing to shoot right into the nose of his ship. That's where I'm going to deal the damage. Just going to go into the free cam here just so FPS doesn't drop as much. And he's down to 7,000 hit points. Maybe I'll get the kill here. We'll see. I do like the fire. Somebody chunks him down to about 2,000 HP. I'm going to aim right at the bow to get those guaranteed pens, and I get the Kraken, and that ends the game. Alrighty guys, taking a look at the post-battle results, 325,000 credits received, 10,700 total EXP earned. As I mentioned, this was my first win of the day and my only game in this ship. I picked up First Blood, Kraken Unleashed, and High Caliber, dealing 117,000 points of damage off of 208 shell hits and 1 torpedo. I shot down 5 planes, sank 5 ships, started 11 fires, and had 6 citadels. Taking a look at the team score, 1,610 base XP is a pretty high number for any Tier 4 ship, let alone a Phoenix. So obviously I pulled my weight for the team. I still think these dudes would have won even without me, but obviously I made a good presence felt on the southwestern portion of the map, helped to kill a few ships, and then moved into the base and mopped up what was left. So very good performance in the Phoenix. Taking a look at the detailed report, 90,000 damage dealt with the main battery, 81,000 dealt with the high explosive, still 23,600 dealt with the fires that I set, which was nice. But yeah, just a good performance overall, showcasing the gun power. Obviously, good use of the high explosive, good target selection, just basic stuff. Nothing exemplary, nothing crazy, but just good, solid gameplay. So I hope you guys out there that are maybe new to the game watching this, hopefully what you saw here will help you out a little bit. And for all the veterans out there, well, you got to watch me SEAL Club. So, yeah, there's that. So, anyway, this is the Sneaky Snake for BIA World of Warships signing off. Guys and gals, as always, thanks for the support to the channel. We read your comments, and we do appreciate all the support that you give us. And with that being said, have a great day.